Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us for this Monday's show. Yesterday's satellite showed a band of moisture here from south to north into the North Gulf Coast. A couple of bands had pulled back to the west and northwest, circulating around the low there, the main center near Kodiak Island. Brought a little bit of rain in. Next development right in through here. Continued to track northward today. Otherwise, another pretty nice day yesterday over the southeast coast. Sunshine up to the north and lots of clouds out over the Bering Sea with some IFR. And putting this, rolling this ahead again, you could see we're watching this next system possibly bring some stronger winds up. Didn't think they're going to be the gale force winds we had today. And you can see this front maze made a really good stride northward. All the way up to near Northway and Tok here at noontime, weakly dragging across the southeast coast. Most of the rainfall back along the North Gulf Coast. In fact, this area clouds right in here had some thunderstorms that developed, moved in Cordova, actually Cape Yakataga over in toward Prince William Sound. Those have since moved northwestward, and about an hour and a half ago they were just south of Copper Center, Gulkana, and southeast of Snowshoe Lake, and moving northwestward. Main front already passed through south central Alaska, Cook Inlet, into the showers now, and then the front weakening as it pushes northward. The main low center still back out through here, and maybe another development right in this area, which will possibly bring the winds back up again. Had some gales here in advance of the front, even into the afternoon. Gusts 50 miles an hour along the North Gulf Coast there, Middleton Island. Pretty gusty winds also over at Cordova. And even some gale force gusts earlier today occurring off the north coast of the Panhandle. Otherwise, lots of sunshine. St. Lawrence Island, 60s and 70s here. Even out near the coastline, Teller up 71 degrees, and Tin City into the mid-60s. And very nice conditions extending back to the north, or across all of the northern areas here. Convection breaking out, some isolated thunderstorms in this area of clouds from the Kilbrook Mountains northward and extending back like that, and then some isolated thunderstorms in that cloud shield over the southeast interior. Pretty gusty east winds up on the Arctic coast there. Point Lacey and easterlies gusting to 3 miles an hour this afternoon, and about 10 to 20 miles an hour up toward Wainwright. Lighter winds on the eastern coast. Low clouds, pretty extensive. Fog, isolated to patchy though on the east side, and then breaking out on the west side with some sunshine. And then farther out to the west, one weak band right through here, not producing too much precipitation. Whatever there is west of the Pribilofs. And then a lot of moisture out here. You can see the cloud shield with the next storm system. It's going to be bringing the wind and rain in actually tonight into the Aleutians here. Very weak warm front today, dense fog out towards Shemya. Maybe into the rain now with the main rain area still back to the west. There's that weak trough right through this region. Areas of fog, low clouds, and some local areas of light rain or drizzle out over much of the Bering Sea. Quite an extensive area of clouds out here. Keeping the overnight lows on the mild side. Cold Bay, St. Paul had some record high minimum temperatures over the last couple of days. And then here's the front. Earlier is pushed, or actually is pushed up into the, well into the interior there. And again, now the showers, thunderstorms behind it, and some of those thunderstorms making their way inland. as well. So showery conditions tonight across south central Alaska, Copper River Basin. And another development with this low here probably will swing up to the north and probably bring the winds up, possibly gale force gusts, likely not as strong as this front had the winds. And then scattered thunderstorms today through the interior with a lot of sunshine, really from Kuskokwim Valley up into the Noatak Valley in the North Slope, and then you get into the clouds here up toward the Arctic coast. And for tonight, front weakens, moves inland. Here's the next one that develops, swings up to the coast. That'll keep at least small craft advisories going for the North Gulf Coast there. And wet conditions, Kodiak, occasionally wet, heaviest rainfall again will occur southern coast of the Kenai Peninsula, on up to Yakutat, on over to Cordova and Yakutat. A few scattered showers over the Panhandle with some clearing, and then some rain mostly along the north coast moving in, fair up here over the northern areas. And over the Bering Sea, that weak warm front spreading some moisture in toward the central Aleutians. Quite an area of moisture here will eventually slip on down and bring some rainfall, drizzle, fog, IFR type weather into the eastern Aleutians, a little more extensive than what you've seen today, as we'll see for tomorrow. Southwest winds, pretty broad fetch of southwest winds, bringing a lot of moisture up into the southern Bering Sea and spreading it eastward again. That's going to slide down into the eastern Aleutians and bring a chance of rain to the Pribilofs late in the afternoon. But winds, as the remnants of the high pressure out here move eastward, it's going to keep the winds on the light side. So no warnings or advisories out. Small craft advisories, though, with this front back to the west, coming in as early as tonight to the western areas and slowly moving eastward tomorrow. Up along the Arctic coast, staying pretty breezy in areas there, but that offshore flow will keep it mostly sunny there over the just about all in the north slope portions of the Arctic coast. Clouds lingering, though, right along and offshore the eastern Arctic coast, along with some IFR due to fog. And then a band right through here. Look for the showers and thunderstorms to develop along that trough axis either side, and that'll extend down into the Kilbrook Mountains again. Isolated thunderstorms possible here over the Talkeetnas, maybe the Wrangels, scattered showers along the North Gulf Coast. A little more continuous here on the Cordova to Yakutat area again, and even into Elephant Cove, cutting off right around Port Alexander, so staying mostly dry tomorrow over the southern areas with possible sunshine, Craig Kawak, and maybe Metlakatla, and not too bad. Rainfall cuts off possibly before you get to Juneau, but still a chance of rain there tomorrow. Areas of low clouds and fog quite extensive out here over the eastern Bering Sea, possibly up to St. Lawrence Island, but for the most part, whatever forms will burn right off tomorrow. It's another sunny day for the Seward Peninsula. All these areas will be back into the 70s. And then for Tuesday, a couple of troughs here, one right through here. That should support, with the afternoon heating, should allow some thunderstorms to develop, isolated to scattered or widely scattered, a little more scattered on the showers. And then showers here across southern Alaska with some partial clearing. And this next system probably will bring some rain into the southeast coast, likely Thursday morning, and probably keep it going through much of the afternoon on Thursday. Otherwise, for Wednesday, just some scattered showers. Could be a little on the moderate side around Yakutat, and still sunny skies up here to the northwest, Seward Peninsula, maybe a few clouds, but mostly sunny skies again. Temperatures in the 70s. Clear skies back up to maybe even the central Arctic coast there, but that onshore northeast wind flow keeping variable clouds and periods of fog possibly in over the eastern Arctic coast. And then a pretty good storm moves into the Bering Sea late tomorrow night and into Wednesday with possible gale force winds coming into the Pribilofs, northern Bering Sea, and definitely 25 to 35 knot winds, I'll call it here, ahead of the front with a lot of rain. Good shot of moisture with this front coming into the central Aleutians, spreading northward there, probably not reaching St. Lawrence Island till Wednesday evening, but could reach the coastline during the afternoon on Wednesday. Definitely more likely, though, for Nunivak Island, but it could possibly reach right along the southwest coast by the late afternoon hours. Otherwise, variable clouds, Bristol Bay with light winds, showers right over Kodiak Island, back up into northeast Bristol Bay, and as I mentioned, along with some periods of clearing. Temperatures this afternoon, upper 50s to mid 60s for the southeast coast, 65 in Juneau, 66 over at Petersburg with a 59 there at Sitka, 62 down at Port Alexander, 75 degrees today in McCarthy, and a 76 over at Tanana with 72 at Ambler. Otherwise 60 degrees at Gulkana, 65 at Northway with some sunshine this afternoon behind the front, and 75 at Bettles. Only 52 by contrast at Anatuvik, and 34 at Barrow, the cold spot in the state this afternoon. 37 at Nuiqsut, or that's Dead Horse. 45 Point Lay, 10 degrees warmer at Point Lay. That's Wainwright. 57 though at Cape Lisburn. Mid-60s to lower 70s here from the northwest interior, again across the Kobuk, Koyukuk valleys, and 50s to mid-60s here over the Delta. 65 there at Juneau. McGrath pushed up to 70, and out to the west, upper 50s, so the Pribilofs, even with the clouds, 55 degrees at Atka, but Adak pushed up to 64, and a 50-degree reading there at Nikolsky. 59 on Alaska. Not too bad temperature-wise here across the Alaska Peninsula, upper 50s to mid-60s. And for lows tonight, quite mild here over the west central and southwest areas, even the Seward Peninsula in the 50s, 40s north side along the coast, and then near freezing along the Arctic coast, otherwise 30s from the north slope. For the highs tomorrow, 60s coming up from the 50s here overnight tonight for the Panhandle, and back into the 70s with 60s out along the coastline for the Bering Sea, and then more clouds holding the eastern areas down into the mid to upper 60s, 40s up along the Arctic coast. Flying weather, IFR here for the northern Gulf Coast areas, mostly from about Cordova over to maybe Yakutat, and then much of the southeast coast calling for VFR flying tomorrow. And then an area of marginal VFR here, western Alaska range, just about all of the Alaska range in areas. IFR, eastern Arctic coast at times in areas, and then this kind of burning off will be a little more extensive in over the north slope early in the morning, and then that'll break out in the afternoon. IFR up to St. Lawrence Island, possibly, more likely though right along the southwest coast to Bering Sea side of the peninsula back out into the Aleutians. Huge area IFR both tomorrow and likely into Wednesday as well. Passes, Anatuvik, we get in the right side of the pass here, VFR, and Adigan VFR as well, either approach. Lake Clark and Merrill starting out marginal. It could be some lingering marginal VFR in either entrance throughout the day as opposed to it being VFR. Same thing for Rainy, could be some marginal VFR at times through the passes, but remember these are just for planning purposes only. Windy, marginal VFR. Isabel, marginal, but Mentasta should be VFR. And for Tanita, west entrance VFR, pass itself, and especially to the east, could be marginal at times. And for Portage, lowest conditions on the east side, west entrance VFR. Chilkoot and White, VFR. Freezing levels, again, not much of a gradient here, 8,000 feet from the Gulf up into the North Gulf Coast areas, and then about the same all the way up to the eastern Arctic coast. Upper high pressure producing 12,000 foot freezing levels there over the Russian Far East and into the Arctic, and not much change down through the Bering Sea as well. The warmest air out over the western areas, and about 10,000 feet just east of the Panhandle. Icing threats, again, all the moisture again out with the upper and surface lows here along and off the coast of the Panhandle, mostly below 16,000 feet, right along the coastline. Some of that slipping up into Prince William Sound, maybe the east side and southern coast of the Kenai Peninsula. And then areas of mixed rime icing here over the eastern interior, and then a band right through here with none either side of that area all the way up to the Arctic coast. And then with that huge plume of moisture coming into the western Bering Sea, chances of icing increase at a fairly deep layer of moisture, so trace amounts could go all the way up to 30,000 feet. And there's that upper level high with the higher freezing levels up in this area for tomorrow. Upper low tracking northeastward. That could keep it pretty wet here over southern Alaska, south of the mountains. And upper high pressure, though, in control for the next couple of days of the northern interior and even the Bering Sea. And here's that strong west-southwest jet. It's going to push the first front in tonight, and then an even stronger system, as I mentioned on Wednesday, associated with that 135 knot jet stream wind max. For 9,000 feet, low pressure in the Gulf, pretty brisk winds around that, 25 to 30 knots, and some pretty brisk southwest winds coming into the southwest Bering at about 50 knots. Light and variable all the way up to the Arctic coast through the interior, light winds for the Panhandle and even the southwest coast. 3,000 feet, about the same pattern. Several lows here in the interior, light variable winds with those. 20 to 30 knot winds on the north side of this low just east of Kodiak Island. Otherwise, light northeast winds, 5 to 10 knots up for the northern areas, and then that broad area of southwest winds coming into the southwest Bering and the Aleutians. 5 knots over the Pribilost, but picking up to 40 knots toward the Shimia area. And turbulence, could be some moderate chop, again, like today, but probably not as extensive. Don't expect the winds to be quite as high. But moderate chop there from, say, Cordova all the way down into Kodiak Island, and then dramatically cutting off as you move inland, and pretty good for the southeast coast, smooth for the remainder of the interior, and then more bumpy conditions coming in with the storminess into the western Bering and Aleutians. And after hangar flying, I'll be back with the marine forecasts.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mary O'Connor with the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation and the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. On behalf of Alaska Public Media and the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation, thank you for tuning in to Hangar Flying. This evening, we are back with Deb Walker, who is the Deputy Director for the Medallion Foundation. Welcome back to the show, Deb.
Thank you, Mary.
As we mentioned on our last show, August is typically the worst month for aviation safety in Alaska. How can angle of attack indicators help pilots fly safer?
One of the things angle of attack indicators do is they have a visual and they have an oral warning system in the device that help a pilot as they're reaching a critical angle of attack and you're approaching a stall, and starts warning them before that stall is going to occur. The device can be mounted in a couple places in the cockpit. One can be on the glare shield, second place can be on the instrument panel. Both of those locations seem to be pretty ideal for both types of warnings for a pilot.
Okay. So say we have a general aviation pilot who has read up on these indicators and is considering installing them in her aircraft. How can a general aviation pilot learn what it's like to fly using angle of attack indicators if she hasn't had a military background and had the opportunity to use them there?
Well, one of the things they can do is they can try out our Super Cub simulator at the State Fair this year. We are planning on having an AOA simulator installed into that Super Cub, and anyone who's coming through the State Fair, they're welcome to come in and try out that indicator and see how it performs right there in the Super Cub. Following that, you can go ahead and come to our location, located at 1520 Post Road, and fly the Super Cub as well as that AOA indicator.
Now, the fair sounds like a great opportunity to catch all kinds of people. And the fair typically runs for just over a week, and this year it's going to be held from August 21st through September 1st. Will you be there every day?
We will be there every day. Unlike last year, we were there for 3 days. You can expect our area to be manned for the entire time of the fair, and from what I heard today, we're in the inner loop, so we should easily be located.
Okay, great. When you won't be at the fair, say afterwards, the Super Cub simulator will always be in Anchorage. Will that travel at all?
The Super Cub does travel to various air events throughout the state, typically during the summer months, but primarily, especially through the winter months, you can find that Super Cub simulator in our brand new facility, nice and roomy.
Is there a cost associated with flying this simulator?
None of our simulators have any costs involved with them, nor the ATDs.
So, are there special requirements if a pilot is working on a private pilot certificate, or maybe you have a spouse of a pilot who might like to check them out?
Absolutely. We invite anyone to come in and check out this equipment and use the equipment. We do ask that you contact us through the Medallion Foundation at our phone number 907-753-8050, or get onto our website. We do need you to schedule for simulator time if it is not at a show. If you already have a login for our automatic scheduler that's located on our website, go ahead and schedule that time. We do have staff at Medallion, an instructor who can set the equipment up and run the software while you're flying that simulator.
So I wouldn't need to bring my own instructor?
No, you do not need to bring your instructor, but we'd certainly encourage you to bring your own instructor, because once we get the word out, we really hope people will be energized and excited about installing this piece of equipment into their aircraft.
Is there only one type of angle of attack indicators, or are different brands available?
There are different brands available. Certainly a quick Google search on the internet can help drive your interest in what's out there, who has what they look like, where you might put it in the aircraft. There's avionic companies within the state where you can purchase an AOA at, and it's a simple installation by your mechanic.
So it's possible for pilots to check it out, purchase one, and have it installed all in Alaska?
Absolutely, absolutely. We do have a few individuals in the state who have already had AOAs installed. Not to mention, as I said in our last session, we will be having two installed, one into a Super Cub and one into a Citabria locally. And my guess is that we're going to have the ability to open those aircraft up just for some viewing.
So if there are any aviation events coming up, I should look for those aircraft as well?
We would hope so, yes.
That sounds like a great resolution for somebody looking to treat themselves and improve their own flying abilities.
Yep, enhance safety.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Deb. It's been a real pleasure having you on the show, and we are very excited to learn about angle of attack indicators.
Thank you very much, Mary.
We hope you've enjoyed our show. If you enjoy hearing about aviation news and events in Alaska, please consider becoming a member of the Alaskan Aviation Safety Foundation. Please help us have an accident-free August this year. Fly safely.
Welcome back. Well, look for small craft advisories in the morning here for the north coast. Otherwise, diminishing winds are staying light south to southwest on the southern areas, light over the inside waters. A little higher up there for Lynn Canal from the south. About the same on Wednesday in that area, and south to southeast at about 20 knots for the north coast, and southwest 15. That'll extend right into the inside waters. For the Cook Inlet zone, variable winds, the Kamishak Bay areas down into Shelikof Strait. It's Kodiak Island here north at 15. Northeasterlies at 20 tomorrow, and small craft advisories. Actually, gale force winds are out for tonight, continuing here for the North Gulf Coast. And then those will come down to small craft late tonight and tomorrow morning, then tomorrow afternoon dropping off to 15 knots, mostly east for Prince William Sound. And then for Wednesday, easterlies at about 20 here for the central coast, and then northeast coming down to 15 knots for the western areas. Light winds for Kodiak Island, even Shelikof Strait again. Southeast 10 to 15, Kamishak Bay, and variable to mostly some kind of southerly component to the wind flow for Cook Inlet, but only in the 10 to 15 knot range. For Bristol Bay, west 15, northwest at 10 across the Alaska Peninsula, and then taking a turn a little more westerly, but still light from Sitkinak to Chignik. And then for Wednesday, west winds 15 Bristol Bay, more southwest now, but light winds continuing here for the Alaska Peninsula and turning more southerly there southwest of Kodiak. Out over the Aleutians, southwest 15 Adak and Atka. Tomorrow 10 knots from the southwest of the Fox Islands, and then small craft advisories here, actually moving in later tonight and holding through much of the day tomorrow. 20 to 25 knot winds over to about Amchitka Island, and then the stronger storm comes in, so the stronger winds will actually be Tuesday night out here over the western Aleutians in that 30 to 35 knot range, and then that'll shift eastward during the day on Wednesday, and the front kind of right through this position, so westerlies behind it, more of a south-southwesterly. As high as 35 knots here on the northern part of all of the east central and Aleutians. Unalaska went for 30 knots. Small craft advisories for sure here on the southern side For the Bering Sea coast or the southwest coast, northwest at 10. Variable becoming south to southeast, 10 to 15 knots tomorrow afternoon for the Pribilof. Same thing for the northern Bering Sea, but another light wind day coming up for St. Lawrence Island. And then for the Wednesday outlook, gales pushing on up into the northern Bering Sea. 30 knots, looks like it should cover it right now for the Pribilof Islands. Out of the south and southeast winds, 20 knots, 25 knots here. Nunivak Island up to the northwest, and 20, possibly 25 knots, but that may not get into St. Lawrence Island until Wednesday evening. For the Arctic coast, east winds 25 knots. Tomorrow at times lighter here to the west, and the central coast looking easterly at 15, picking back up toward 20 knots, maybe not as high as today, and then lighter winds here down toward Kotzebue Sound. Variable winds for that zone on Wednesday, and then easterlies at about 20, not much change here. East-northeast, strongest on the eastern Arctic coast. For tonight, first front moves in, washes out here, and leaves some showers and thunderstorms, especially this evening behind. Next front moving up, again, that's why the gales are holding through tonight for the North Gulf Coast. Rain pushes in toward the Panhandle, more extensive though and heavier up along the coast and even back into Kodiak Island. Then for tomorrow, that moves on through, trough in the interior, good for some scattered to isolated showers and thunderstorms. Fair and warm and 70s again here for the interior in the northern areas. And here comes the next storm, first in the series here pushing in, and then that's the remnants of it, and even a stronger low moving into the west central Bering Sea on Wednesday, again with some solid rain and possibly gale force winds ahead of the front. Scattered showers over the southeast coast. Let's look at the weather. Thanks for joining us.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.